It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Bill Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day to join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome in Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. National Signing Day early version for the 2019 class. It's also National Exhale Day. If you follow recruiting, it's also National Unfollow Day as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
That's the best part.
You're purging a lot of
God,
a lot of accounts.
I'm so sick of reading about their girlfriends, their favorite rap stars, what they had for dinner,
Vacations.
what they're doing this weekend, calling out each other, bro, it's lit, wherever you happen to be.
It sounds like you're describing my account in college.
Oh, is that your account? Yeah. Anyway, hope you had a great National Signing Day. It is a national holiday. I have pushed the legislature for years to make this a day of holiday across the country, and they continue to raise our taxes and ignore my plea for that. But it's been a busy day. I'm going to let you hear from Muschamp and Sweeney talking about their classes. They love them, of course, and they're both very good classes. Clemson, once again, in the top 5 nationally. South Carolina, depending on who you want to hang your hat on from an analyst standpoint, is going to be in the top 25 or so, top 20 in some cases. I look at both classes. I see a lot of good players. I see a lot of players you can win with in both of these classes, guys, and that's the bottom line. Can you win with the guys you bring in? Can you coach them up, and can you develop them? Are there some holes here and there? You know, Clemson had a little bit of a scramble there on the offensive line at the end, but they signed a young man named Caleb Boateng out of Fort Lauderdale, 6'5", 290. Not all that heavily recruited, a guy that's probably going to have to be developed, but they obviously liked him. They also won the battle for Tyler Davis against Florida State, defensive lineman, kind of a plugger in the middle. And South Carolina got Johnny Dixon to add to their class. They did miss on the offensive lineman, Matthew Bedford out of Memphis. So the Gamecocks signed 18, 12 of whom will enroll early, and Clemson signed 26. And how many did he say?
16 mid-year enrollees.
16 will enroll early. You're familiar with all the names for the most part, so we'll let you hear from the coaches coming up and let you hear their thoughts about their classes and other things related to recruiting.
You know, from Clemson's standpoint, I'm still wondering why they only have 2 linemen, and I know that Dabo Sweeney rather said that, you know, they didn't think the need was there this year. I somewhat disagree. I think you need to develop that depth as soon as you possibly can, and I need to go and parse through the scholarships and kind of where they break down. But the fact that you're losing 4 guys next year who are going to be starters for you, to me, makes you feel like you don't want to necessarily pressure yourself into 2020 to make that happen. But they get 3 wide receivers, which I think is great because they lose 2, and that's already a very talented room. They replace a lot of defensive linemen, too, because they're losing a lot there. And also at the linebacker position, they get 5 as well. So they get themselves some very good stuff there. And as far as South Carolina is concerned, look, I mean, they've got guys who I think now they can go in and feel very, very confident, especially on the defensive side of the football next year. I think that's the part of it. You know, people like to talk about Ryan Helinski and how important he is to this class. I think what they've done on defense, especially with Zach Pickens, guys like Rodriguez Fitton, and, you know, a lot of these guys on the outside, the pass rushers, that's one area where I think they got significantly better today.
Well, in the past, South Carolina's downfall has been the inability to fortify the lines of scrimmage. And I think, you know, when you look at football, it's great to look at those great linebackers moving around and the defensive backs and the running backs and wide receivers. But, you know, like the old cigarette commercials, you don't see anymore. It's what's up front that counts.
Is that right?
I mean, the linchpin of a great when Clemson is playing great defense with those young defensive backs, what's happening? Their front 4 is wreaking havoc up front. That's what saves that defense, is that front 4. You got to have the guys up front.
That being said, though, South Carolina improved itself in the secondary with Cam Smith and Johnny Dixon.
True.
Did I mention earlier that South Carolina got Johnny Dixon over
Yes.
Miami?
Yes.
So, and South Carolina's got more work ahead. They've still got room. 2 players are counting in this class who are already there. Jamel Cook is one, and Josh Belk is the other. So they've got 20 what they call initial counters in the class.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got room for 5 more. You can't bring in more than 25 in a class, more than 85 overall. So they've got room for 5 more. So there's still work ahead for South Carolina in the February signing period. Need to mention that Will Putnam did not sign today. He's going to do it at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So Clemson's still very much alive there and still has a chance to get him.
And still also in the running for Quavaris Crouch as well as Charlotte.
Quavaris Crouch in Charlotte, announcing on January 5th. So that's 2 more for the Tigers that they could land, quite conceivably could land, to add to their class. And South Carolina still has Eric Gray on the board. It appears he's going to be a Tennessee signee, tomorrow, but his South Carolina's still in it there. And there's still Chris Steele out in California who'll be signing on January 5th, that I'm sure they're still talking to and trying to stay hot with. So we will hear from the coaches. We also have some interviews lined up for you. I think you'll enjoy this. We've got Tyson Pumachan. I think our first interview with him. Did we interview in the spring?
I want to say we talked to him after his commitment.
Perhaps. I think we did. After his commitment.
I think we talked to him after his commitment.
Well, we're going to talk to him again. Tyson Pumachan, Clemson quarterback signee. We're going to hear from Johnny Dixon, USC corner, and Tom Lemming, national college football recruiting analyst galore, will be with us after 7 o'clock to talk about the classes for USC, Clemson, and the national look where, Georgia just continues to eat up. The rich keep getting richer. The top teams in the country keep pulling in the highest regarded players.
And Florida State keeps on losing.
And Florida State had a bad day. They lost their quarterback, Sam Howell, to North Carolina. Now look out, North Carolina. Here comes Mac Brown loading up with a stud quarterback. And that's really, I'm not going to say that's all it takes, but that gets you moving in the right direction if you have the right quarterback.
Covers up a lot of ills.
You got to have it. I thought it was interesting when we were listening to Muschamp today, talking about, we get to February, it's like being in the NFL. The lower draft, as you drop down, best athlete available. Do we need another wide receiver? Probably not. But if one wants to come, hey, he's welcome.
One more note: from the original commits for USC, they did not sign Jakeem Green today, the defensive lineman from Sumter and Highland Junior College in Kansas. They are still keeping him on the board as a possible February signee. Before we get to all the recruiting stuff, USC does have a huge basketball game tonight against Virginia, and there's been some developments on the roster.
Not positive. Junior forward Mike Kotsar unavailable tonight and out indefinitely due to concussion-like symptoms. And freshman guard TJ Moss also unavailable tonight and out indefinitely due to a right high ankle sprain and foot injury. Of course, this is possibly a result of practice injuries, the fact that they have not played since December the 8th against Michigan, and both those players played there. So this obviously is something that developed in practice during finals week or since then. And it's not the way you want to go in to play the number 5 team in the country with only 10 healthy bodies and 8 of whom are basically ones who are rotational players.
We were just talking off the air. Michael Carrera used to seemed like a concussion every time they had long practices. By the way, not to be cold, but, Kotsar being out, they missed one less. They missed one rebound.
Gosh.
Well, Frank will probably get a lot more playing time. Silva's got to play 35 minutes of effective basketball to give him a chance.
He can't foul.
Well, that's unfortunate. We had Frank with us last night, and we didn't ask him about any injuries.
No,
this had to happen. It had to happen prior to last night because they didn't practice it. They wouldn't have done anything today that would have given you a concussion.
Didn't say anything on Monday either. So who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to the Gamecocks tonight. They're going to need it against a very, very good Virginia team. Clemson won last night, pulled away 18-0 run to open the second half. They put Charleston Southern away. Citadel won at 7 in a row
and
for the Bulldogs.
Wofford tonight, by the way, at Mississippi State at the Hump. So a chance for them to possibly get a win over a ranked team.
And Friday,
Furman at LSU.
Yeah.
I am like,
are you going to go? Why don't you go to that game and cover it for us?
Popcorn ready. Yeah. You don't need to give me an excuse to go down to Baton Rouge.
Okay, we'll come back and dive into National Signing Day. Back in a moment.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Lots of signing day coverage upcoming here on Sports Talk. Clemson quarterback signee Tyson Pumachan coming up at the bottom of this hour. Johnny Dixon, Gamecock signee on the defensive back side, coming up later on this hour as well, quarter before the hour. And, of course, second hour, we'll talk to Tom Lemming, national recruiting analyst. But now, Corn, we'll hear from the coaches.
Indeed, indeed. Always a fun time to have the signing day press conference because the guys get to unwrap their presents, praise their staffs for doing a great job, and throw some love at the players coming into the program. Let's begin with Dabo Swinney. He was the first one up today with his press conference at 1 o'clock. The Tigers just rolled in the LOIs very quickly. They were done within about 2 hours, having everybody signed, sealed, and delivered. What did Dabo think of this year's group?
Just really thankful to the young men that have chosen. This is, I think, our ninth top 15 class in a row for whatever that means. But I do know this: we've become very consistent. It's really special, but we've been very, very consistent. And I don't have any doubt that this group will be special. I mean, this is the biggest class that we've signed, I believe, since my 2011 class. I think we signed 29 that year. And you go back to that class, that was the Grady Jarrett, the Stephon Anthony, that whole group. And you think about what they accomplished in 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 for our fifth-year seniors, like a B.J. Goodson, for example. It's amazing what that class went on to do. And that's really kind of how I measure those guys, for sure. I believe Adam Humphries was in that class, and he was one of those guys on signing day. Everybody's looking, why are y'all signing that guy? And I think Adam Humphries turned out pretty good and is making a pretty good living playing pro football. And vice versa. Sammy Watkins, pretty good guy to sign too. And that was as advertised. So all across the board, it's just neat for me to because I think time tells ultimately how you did. I don't think present day rankings really matter that much because that's on potential. I think the rest of it's based on performance. We've never signed the number one ranked recruiting class since I've been the head coach in 10 years, but yet we're I think maybe second or third in wins over the last 10 years. So I think that speaks to the evaluation and the development that we have in place here in our program. But I think this group will turn out to be special, and can't wait to see what they do over the next 4 or 5 years. Just like that last big class that we signed back in 11. We're graduating the winningest senior class in ACC history. And, if they can find a way to win 2 more, that'd be the winningest class in college football history. So obviously we've got some very talented individuals that are leaving, and it's critical that we bring in a great group to replace them. And I think that we've done that. We signed 26 today, 16 mid-years. And most of these guys have been committed for a long, long time, whether it be back in the spring, summer, or even early part of August. Most of this class has been together for a long time. And we definitely met all of our critical needs for sure, and then some in some areas. And we'll get back together in February, and we'll see what happens and shakes out between now and then. I have no idea. Sometimes juniors decide to leave early. Sometimes maybe a guy decides to graduate and move on. Who knows? Whatever. But we'll also have some preferred walk-ons that'll sign up with us in February and into the summer.
Among those in that 28-person class of 2011, Watkins, Goodson, also a guy by the name of Grady Jarrett. He wasn't bad.
Good players. Good players. All right, over to USC now. Will Muschamp meeting just a couple of hours ago over at Williams-Brice Stadium. Of course, they had a practice today as well. And today was the first day they turned their attention to Virginia. First and foremost, though, 7 o'clock this morning, the LOIs started rolling in. However, they send them in now. And here is what Muschamp thinks of his signing class.
Well, we got better today. There's no doubt about that. As I'll say every year, or I guess every signing period, we'll know about this class in 2 or 3 years. It's a developmental game, and that is the bottom line. You got to get the guys on the campus and obviously evaluate who you want, and the film, the transcript, the character, the integrity, all of those things, get them on campus and develop them. And that's what I think our staff does a fantastic job of. Last year's signing class, 16 played, 5 were starters, 2 of them were named freshmen All-SEC. So it says a lot about the production we got from last year's class, and signed 18 guys today. We signed 20 because Jamel Cook and Josh Belk both count in this class. So that's how we kind of look at it as far as initials are concerned. So they're counted in this class. 16 guys from the footprint of what we recruit: South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and I would include Tennessee in that category. We've done a nice job there of getting some really good football players from. Big, long, and athletic. You've got 13 guys that are line of scrimmage players. and then 12 that we signed, and obviously Josh Belk, who's on campus, and that's a place we needed to continue to improve our program moving forward, is on both lines of scrimmage. 7 of these guys played for state championships and 3 won state championships. So, being able to get guys and attract guys from winning programs, I think, is always important. Again, we really improved ourselves today, especially on both lines of scrimmage. That was critical for us going into it.
Well, I know that Helinski and Pickens obviously had the big stats as high schoolers, but just their status as high-ranking recruits, how does that help your project going further down the line in terms of recruiting?
Well, I think, first thing you got to be able to do is own your state. And we offered 4 guys in the state of South Carolina, and all 4 came. So, and Zach was certainly a high-profile player in our state and also the country. He could have gone anywhere he wanted to, and he wanted to stay home and play for the Gamecocks. And Ryan, obviously being able to go national and sign a guy from the state of California that's was attracted to come to South Carolina, came to our campus multiple times on unofficial visits, and then an official visit last spring. He and his parents were extremely impressed, obviously, with the things we're doing with the program, and he saw a great opportunity here. So, again, it's all about fit. At the end of the day, when you go through the recruiting process with a student athlete, do they feel like they fit what you want to do academically, athletically, socially, spiritually? And both of those are really good fits for us.
From the outside looking in this morning, it just seemed like everything went very smoothly. Was it as smooth on the inside of the office as it appeared outside? Did you have any late phone calls you needed to make, any fires you had to put out?
No, it was very smooth, unusually. So you do have a brush fire come up the night before or that morning. We had a couple of things flare up on us, but there was nothing that was anything alarming. And we've had practice this morning. We started on Virginia this morning, so we had everything done before our 9 o'clock meeting for the most part, except for maybe 2. And we were waiting on those, but we felt very, very confident in both those situations.
Okay, Will Muschamp from earlier today. Now to clean up a few other notes from today, as we had expected. Linebacker Tyrone Hopper of Roswell, Georgia, did sign with Florida despite a late push from USC trying to flip him. And USC remains, of course, on watch for the running back Eric Gray out of Memphis, and Clemson likewise for the offensive lineman out of Tampa. Will Putnam. That'll come down tomorrow. Hanahan defensive end Cooper Dawson signed with Syracuse. I hope you saw his video.
That was so awesome and very well done.
Go look at his video, folks, if you haven't. It's on our timeline. I retweeted it, or you can just go to Cooper Dawson. Have some hankies nearby.
I say that's kind of thing where even if it didn't go to your team, that's something you respect. That's something you respect.
That was just a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Awesome.
And our boy Scotty caught it all on camera.
That's our boy.
Greenville High offensive lineman Jimmy Frisch ended up signing with Nebraska. Defensive end Darius Williams of Hemingway ended up signing with Middle Tennessee State. And we'll go over the in-state signees for other schools in the state as we can. I'll tell you, Furman from in-state signed offensive lineman Jacob Johanning of St. Joseph's, defensive lineman Devontae Jones of T.L. Hanna, offensive lineman Evan Jumper of Myrtle Beach, and linebacker Jalen Miller of Burns. Coastal Carolina signed one player from the States, and he is J.T. Killen of Lake Wiley, who actually goes to Charlotte Christian. The Wofford Terriers signed in-state offensive lineman Josiah Cromer of Broome, defensive lineman Jacob Dragg of Chapin, offensive lineman Tavian Gass of Sumter, defensive back Jay Hazel of Whale Branch, running back Irvin Mulligan of Whale Branch, and defensive lineman Javante Turrentine of Loris. Give you more of that stuff coming up when we come back. Tyson Pumashon, future Clemson quarterback, here on Sports Talk.
Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Again, we're not only following what's going on with National Signing Day and all the stuff involving the signees for Clemson and South Carolina, but also South Carolina and Virginia tonight. Again, we mentioned earlier, no Kotsar, no Moss tonight. I'm guessing that means Lawson, Gravitt, Bryant, Hasse, Silva is your 5, maybe?
Yeah, probably so.
Maybe Frink? I don't want Frink come off the bench for Silva.
Right.
But, I mean, still, you're not looking at a lot of good options there, boys. It's not good.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they're already shorthanded in terms of talent when you're facing a team as good as Virginia. Long and lean, well-coached, and able to score at will, able to D you up, and they need all hands on deck. And now they're definitely going to be even more shorthanded. So we'll see. Maybe they can gut it out and make it a close ball game.
This is a teaching moment. This is when you circle the wagon.
Okay, we have promised you to bring you some of the signees today for USC and Clemson. And first up is going to be, we were thinking it was going to be the quarterback. Instead, it's going to be the cornerback who may one day be trying to intercept some passes off of the quarterback. This is Johnny Dixon joining us here out of Tampa, Chamberlain High School, who signed today with the South Carolina. Long time kind of leaning towards South Carolina, though Miami was in there some, Penn State, West Virginia. But he goes with the Gamecocks, and he joins us here on Sports Talk across the state. Johnny, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
We're doing great, man. Congratulations on your signing today. How was your day? What was it like finally being able to sign that paper?
It was great, honestly. Right when I signed the papers, I was relieved.
Was there any anxiety leading up to the day, or were you pretty much clear-minded for several days or even weeks that it was going to be South Carolina?
No, it was anxiety up until today.
Because why?
It was mainly Miami had picked up recruitment, and I started messing with Miami. Miami's close to home. South Carolina felt like home, so I didn't really know which one would benefit me until today.
How hard did Miami come in on you, and give us kind of the rundown over the last few days about what they were doing to try to swing you their way?
They hit me up every day. South Carolina and Miami both. They came by the school a few times. They made sure they kept in contact. They kept making sure I understood what I'd be benefiting from if I went there.
Well, Johnny, what about the recruiting process stood out to you from South Carolina's perspective, and what ultimately was that part of that homey feel that you said you felt when you put South Carolina's pen on paper?
South Carolina's known me. Y'all know South Carolina was my first offer. So South Carolina know me since I was like 14, 15. So it's just every time I'm there, I feel comfortable. I just feel like I've been around people that have always supported me throughout my injury and all.
When they were discussing with you, the South Carolina coaches, how you would be used, what were they telling you?
I'm going to be used as a corner and the return specialist, punt return, kick return, but corner is my main position. I can't wait to play.
You mentioned the injury. Fill us in on how that affected you and how you've come back from that, and how you feel moving forward.
It affected me because I couldn't really finish my junior season, and I missed all of the off season. So I missed a whole lot of camps. I missed opportunities to play in All-Star games, but I came back and I played in the season. So it all worked out.
Mm-hmm. I know you're going to go in with another defensive back in Cam Smith. What do you know about him, and have you two spoken a bit?
No, we haven't really spoken, but I watched film on him. I like him. I'm impressed by how he plays.
When you were talking with Travaris Robinson, who'll be your position coach and your defensive coordinator, and also talking with Will Muschamp, who of course is known for his defensive strategies and things of that nature. Yeah. What things about those two gentlemen impressed you and led you to believe that this would be a good place to be developed and get you ready for the next level?
They know the game perfectly inside and out. And I have I'm sorry, but they know the game perfectly inside and out. And then I have like a first-hand experience from knowing Vernon Hargreaves since he went to my old high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt comfortable with them. I know they've coached a whole lot of people and through a whole lot of people in the league. So it just feels right.
Talking with Johnny Dixon, who signed this morning with South Carolina. So would you say that as a corner, you are a guy that really loves the press coverage and likes to get up in the grill of a receiver, or do you feel like maybe you're better in of course, every corner likes to say they're like that man-to-man coverage, but are you maybe better in zone coverage and kind of going after interceptions and kind of sucking the quarterback into to making bad throws?
Honestly, I like both because I like actually learning the game. That makes me good at zone coverage, but I would have to say I like man coverage more. I would rather be able to make sure my receiver catches 0 balls.
As we're
if I can lock up on one person, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Talking with South Carolina signee Johnny Dixon, Tampa, Florida, joining us here on Sports Talk as we review what happened today on the first day of the early signing period. Just watching this defense develop since Will Muschamp has been here. You talked about being in their first offer. What has impressed you the most of how this defense has progressed under Will Muschamp and Travaris Robinson?
The changes were so quick. Everything happened. They just were way smoother. And I noticed a whole lot of freshmen on the field. And it's not like you can't really tell the freshmen they've been in the system for a minute. So you can just tell the program's working smooth.
Yeah, he mentioned today that I think he said, 16 of the newcomers last year played this year, and like 5 or 6, started at one time or another. So does that give you hope that if you come in, learn the system, are physical enough and mature enough to handle it, that you'll get some early snaps as a freshman?
Yes, so I'm confident I'll see the field.
Coming in ready to play?
Yes, sir, very.
Is there an SEC receiver you're looking forward to matching up against?
We got Alabama week 3 next year, so they got the best receiver in college football right now. I would love to play against them.
I'm just saying, man. How much again about this schedule coming in next year? The fact that you get Alabama at home, you get to go play between the hedges, Georgia, A&M. I mean, there are a lot of great spots for you to get a really big national spotlight here to start
Clemson
your career.
At home too.
That was another reason I chose South Carolina, because it came down to South Carolina, Miami. And no disrespect to Miami, because I love that whole coaching staff, but the competition in the SEC is unmatchable, and that's what I like. Competition.
You're hoping to get a blindside blitz maybe on Tua in that game in week 3?
Shoot, if it happens, it happens. I can't wait.
Well, I tell you what, if I was 40 years younger and worked out with you during the off season, what would the workout look like?
What would the workout look like?
Yeah.
We'll probably definitely start off with 2 miles. Start with 2 miles, and then footwork, agility, balance, and then we get into some corner-specific stuff like man press and zone reads.
I couldn't do the 2 miles.
Do you work out with a particular group? Maybe some former NFL or current NFL people or college people?
Ricky Reynolds.
Ricky Reynolds, you said.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, listen, man, congratulations. How are you celebrating signing day? Of course, I guess you have school tomorrow, right? You got homework?
No, it's exam week, so we take exams when we get out of school real early. So probably Friday night we'll go out to eat with the family and some friends.
And chill out.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not enrolling early, right?
No, sir.
Yeah.
I'm coming up summer.
Gotcha. Well, listen, congratulations once again. Thanks for visiting with us. Look forward to seeing you here next season.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's going to be one of those rare players who gets to go to prom.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they're getting rarer and rarer.
He's from Tampa. He doesn't want to enroll early. It's going to be too cold for him to be up here in January. He'll come in here in the summer when it's nice and hot.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about the early enrolling.
I couldn't do it.
Well, because I just think your senior semester of high school is like the greatest time of your life.
Yeah.
But football players, they have a different mindset, man. They're about getting ahead, getting in, and getting on the field. And if getting in January helps you to do that, that's all they're thinking about. Where are you going?
Basketball. You got that game.
They might have to suit you up. Could you play power forward?
Tell Frank I'll give him 5 fouls. I'll give him 5 fouls. And I'll
no
use every one of them.
If you can't do 2 miles, you can't get up the court.
All right,
not the way Virginia runs. They run all that offense.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk here on National Signing Day. Will has taken off for the arena for USC in Virginia. Phil Kornblut, Professor Tom Hayes, and Brian Leonard here with you. And we're now joined by one of Clemson's top signees for this year, quarterback Tyson Pumachan out of Avon, Connecticut, 6'4", one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country. Hey, Tyson, thanks for joining us. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How you doing?
We're great. Tell us about your day. What was it like this morning to get up and sign the papers? You've been committed to Clemson for a long, long time, and to make it official, what was it like for you today?
It was definitely a great opportunity. I've been waiting on this day for a long time, and for it to finally come, it was just a God's blessing.
Yeah. At any time over the past several months, if I remember correctly, I think you committed back in April, like April 14th to be exact. That's a long time to stay committed. Was there any flirtation, any strong flirtation from anybody else that you actually considered?
No. Once I committed to a school, I think they had me, and that's the one place I wanted to be. So I was stuck with Clemson. What
sold you so early and so strongly on Clemson?
When I went down there with my family, there's some of their core values that they value. It's some of the same things that my family value, and we just fell in love with them.
What are some of those things that you noticed?
They're very family orientated. Me and my family, we're real close, so we value that. The people there is real good, genuine people. So I'm just glad to be a part of something like that.
Obviously, the winning helps. And the big offense helps, and the shiny offensive pieces had to help as well attract you. What do you think about what they do on offense and how your skills would fit in there?
They like to use their quarterback throwing the ball and running the ball. So I think I fit that attribute. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the educational standpoint, what attracted you? Have you decided what you're going to major in while you're playing football at this point?
Yeah, I chose psychology major.
Mm-hmm. For a quarterback, that's a good major.
Yes, sir.
Outthink people. Tell us about you as a player. Again, I know the recruiting sites rank you very highly, et cetera, but break yourself down. If you were to self-analyze yourself as a quarterback, what would you say?
I would say I'm a quarterback that just wants to get the ball in athletes' hands and let them make plays. You got to be able to make plays with your feet when you have to, but of course you always want to throw the ball first. So that's what I do.
You have no trouble rolling out, firing the ball deep down the field, throwing the quick outs, things of that nature?
Yeah, yes, sir. I mean, if you're being chased down by one of the big line and you got to roll out, you're going to have to do what you got to do and get that ball there. So
how good is your speed, though? Like if you break free and take off running, what kind of 40 speed do you have generally?
I got breakaway speed, I think. If I get a little crease, I think I can be able to break away.
Mm-hmm. Talking with Tyson Pumachan, we have you listed at 6'4", 205. Is that still accurate?
Yeah, a little bit, about 210 now.
About 210? Uh-huh. Yeah. What do you think of stepping into a situation where, you've got a great young quarterback who's just a freshman, be a sophomore next year when you arrive, plus a very good backup quarterback in Chase Bryce? I mean, what are your expectations going into next year, and what have the coaches told you about what to expect as a freshman?
Well, I just want to go there, learn the playbook, and just go in there and compete. Those they're two great quarterbacks, and I just want to go in there and compete with them.
Well, I know with school and football practice, that sort of thing, and studying your playbook, you don't have a lot of time. But when you got time, of course, a lot of Clemson's games, like all major colleges now on TV, have you been able to watch any of their games? And what are some of the thoughts that run into your mind as you watch their offense, as you watch on television?
They got a real explosive offense. They like to get the ball out fast, do lots of runs, quarterback runs. So I'm just happy to be a part of the offense.
You know,
when I
Tyson,
get there.
one of the interesting stats that we've seen this week has to do with highly ranked quarterbacks like yourself. We're talking about top 5 quarterbacks in classes every year, and how many of them, you know, get to their first choice and they end up transferring. I mean, Clemson has had it with Hunter Johnson. We're seeing the Fields kid leave Georgia, and it's you know, kind of epidemic across college football. My question to you is, you know, you're stepping into a situation where there's going to be a firmly entrenched, highly recruited quarterback already there. Are you going to be patient? Are you willing to be patient and take your time and wait your time behind him if necessary?
Well, I mean, I can't really tell the future. Like I said before, I just want to go there and compete and see what happens from there. Leave it in God's hands.
And what will you be doing? Now, are you enrolling early?
Yeah, I'll be there in January.
So you're coming in January, so you'll be looking forward to stepping in and getting right involved. What do you think is going to be the most, you know, coming out of high school, stepping into a big-time situation like Clemson, what do you expect to be the most difficult part of that transition for you?
Well, the high school that I was at previous, it was a boarding school, so I was away from home a lot. And I think that definitely helped me grow as a young man and everything, being away from home. So I think being away from home shouldn't be a problem for me. But the most difficult thing I think will probably just be adjusting being so far away from home. I mean, I was in Connecticut still, but I'm about to be in South Carolina. So I got to get used to everything down there.
Yeah. But as far as the football goes and learning the playbook and picking up the speed at which they play, you foresee any problems there?
But once I get used to everything, like the speed of the game, I know the playbook, I think everything will start to flow. So that'll be good. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, congratulations. I know it's been a long day for you, but a good day when you get a chance to sign the dotted line and get that done. That's a great feeling. And we congratulate you. Look forward to seeing you down here this spring and spring ball and seeing what you can do out there with the Tigers. Thanks very much. Have a great holiday.
Thank you. You guys too.
Thank you so much. Tyson Pumachan. Don Munson, the voice of the Tigers football, he's going to have a mouthful with some of these names on the Clemson roster moving forward. Tyson Pumachan is spelled P-H-O-M-M-A-C-H-A-N-H. And, I mean, you look at some of the names of guys that they have in this class. There's Ruki Orohoro, defensive end out of Michigan. Etinosa Rubin, that's not all that bad. Brighton Constantine. We mentioned Tyson. And Joe Nagata, which isn't all that hard. They got some names there for sure. And then if they happen to get the 2020 quarterback out of California, DJ, we'll just call him DJ. DJU will suffice for me when it comes to his name.
Well, you know,
there's Caleb Boating as well, the new signee.
It is kind of weird that, and people say, yeah, this is the most interesting position, especially in college football, whereas Tyson says, I'm, practice, work, push the guy in front of me and see what happens. But it's one of those positions that if you don't play, you don't gain rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, hey, I thought I could deal with this, but I have to go somewhere where I can play. It'll be interesting to see how they go forward because we're seeing not only Clemson, but a lot of teams stockpiling big-time quarterbacks.
Well, I don't have any senior stats on Tyson because Max Preps does not have his senior stats. His junior year, he completed 70% of his passes.
Wow.
He threw 26 touchdown passes, 1 interception, 2,402 yards. I don't see his senior stats. Now, if you're into the rankings, and I know some of you are, by rivals, and I guess that's as good as anybody, Alabama's 1, Georgia's 2, A&M 3, LSU 4, Clemson is 5. South Carolina right now is 21. The Gamecocks would be 9th in the SEC. So, I mean, even when you put together a really good class, upward mobility and recruiting rankings in the SEC is just so tough, especially when you see that 4 of the top 5 are from the SEC. Tough neighborhood, top of the hour.
2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. A busy night here on Sports Talk, as you might expect. National Signing Day, early edition. Got a couple of more days to go. There'll be some news tomorrow as we wait on Will Putnam for one to make a decision, and somewhat Eric Gray, though not expecting South Carolina to get him. Then, of course, January 5th, we've got eyes on Crouch and on Steele in the Army All-American game. Let's bring in a man who might know something about all these folks and more in a national view of things, the grand poobah of national recruiting analysts. He is Tom Lemming. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm kind of glad it's almost over for today, but doing good. Weather's good here in New York, and everything kind of went according to plan. There were a couple of bumps, but overall, I thought it was a good day.
Who was the biggest winner, you think, and the biggest loser in terms of the national scene?
You know, I would think winner was Michigan getting Daxton Hill back away from Alabama. He's the top DB in the country, 10,500-meter kid with a 43-inch vertical, one of those freak athletes, could play corner or safety, and he would have been starting from day one at Michigan. Alabama, with all their 5-star players, may have to wait a couple of games before he starts, but he's super talented, and I thought Michigan became a big winner getting him back. The class was already good. The Michigan fans were turning on Harbaugh, not only after their Ohio State game, but after they lost Daxton Hill to Alabama. So getting him back on signing day was a major catch for the Wolverines. And I thought the biggest surprise was probably Arkansas. They didn't have a great season on the field, but I have them 19th in the country right now. It's a tremendous finish for a school that really didn't have any momentum during the season.
How about the biggest loser?
Probably UCLA. The number one area in the country. Statewide, Florida and Texas are 1-2, but area, LA is. There's an enormous amount of football talent in Los Angeles. It's such a huge area. You can go 3 miles east and you're 3 hours you're driving and you're still part of Los Angeles. And there's so much talent there for UCLA to finish in the 50s is, to me, almost unheard of, especially with Chip Kelly. I have no idea what happened to them this year, especially also that USC wasn't having a great year because of all the things that happened with Clay Helton, where the fans wanted him gone. Everyone else is kind of pushing to get rid of him. But Lynn Swann kept him for another year, which made that a lot of players in the area thinking, well, we'll go elsewhere besides USC, because most of them were born to play for the Trojans. So that gave UCLA a big advantage. They never took advantage of it. Oregon did, but UCLA didn't.
Yeah. What about Florida State losing Sam Howell to North Carolina? Big pickup for Mac Brown. And, boy, you got to have that great quarterback to get any new program rolling. But, Florida State was having a pretty good recruiting run, and then this.
They had him all year. Nothing really changed. He was committed to Florida State with Willie. So the only thing I could explain it for is that Mac Brown is a phenomenal recruiter. I've been doing this 40 years. I would count him on my one hand as one of the great recruiters, along with Phil Fulmer, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, and Pete Carroll, the 5 best recruiters I've seen in the past 40 years. And Mac Brown didn't seem like he skipped a beat. He gets in real late and still lands the best quarterback in the Carolinas. So you got to give him credit. Florida State, I'm sure, and the fans are devastated. Sam's more of a pro-style quarterback and a guy that Mac told him that could fit perfectly into his offense. But what Mac didn't do right at Texas was recruit quarterbacks. He turned away the great ones and went after guys that failed for him. So I don't know if this is a good sign for North Carolina or a bad one.
Tom, you mentioned on the West Coast, Oregon, the Ducks. We were thinking that the Ducks were pretty much falling by the wayside after Chip Kelly left. But Mario Cristobal, what kind of job did he do, and how did he pull it off?
He's a Nick Saban disciple, and he learned a lot while he was at Alabama about how Nick Saban goes about recruiting and how much effort and time and people that he throws into it. And he's doing the same thing in Oregon, and that's how he pulled it off. I noticed it right away. There's a quarterback who's probably the most underrated quarterback in the country named Cale Millen. His dad, Hugh Millen, played about 15 years in the NFL. Cale is 6'4", 215, had a tremendous senior year. And Oregon noticed him first before Stanford, USC, and Notre Dame came after him, and he chose Oregon, despite the fact that one of the best quarterbacks in the country, his father's on the Oregon staff. He's the best player in Oregon, Michael Johnson. They turned down Michael Johnson when they told Millen they were going to take him, and Michael wound up going to Penn State. But that's how their recruiting's gone. They identify these guys, they zoom in it, and then they're relentless, the same way Nick Saban is, and the same way Urban Meyer was.
It's interesting talking to Tom Lemming. Speaking of Oregon, what impact do you think Ryan Bartow, with his background and connections from his recruiting days, what kind of impact is he having on their recruiting?
You mean Oregon, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I would say a good impact because it seems like everybody is all in. When I was talking to Millen's dad, you told me that one time all those coaches visited at one time or another, visited the high school to go check out Cal Millen. And I thought the impact that staff's having, it sounds like something that Alabama would do, or now that you see Nebraska bringing the whole staff to see one player. But that takes effort, it takes time, it takes aggressiveness, and I think the entire staff is doing a great job.
All right, so what's your take on Clemson's day today and South Carolina's day today?
Look, Clemson just keeps bringing in great players all the time, so it's not a surprise that they finish in the top five, in my top five. I love the way Clemson, and, there's not much competition now in that ACC. It's Clemson and all the rest. It seems like, it looks like they're going to have control of the conference for a good number of years coming up. But they were out, I go see everybody in person, so I saw the receivers like Ladson in South Florida, and then I went out to Northern California to see Joe Nada. These are great players. People don't even notice them. On our show today, we did a live show. Two of the players announced they had already announced for Clemson, but they were in Mexico and they came on our show. Sheridan Jones being one of them. These are terrific players, but they're probably at the bottom of the list of this class. Most classes, they'd be at the very top. Shows you what from top to bottom. And they've done, as always, a great job in Georgia. And I think that's been the key to Clemson's recruiting since Dabo Swinney got there. And that's why Mark Richt was fired at Georgia, and why Clemson has won the national title in the race every single year because of the Georgia recruiting.
We just had ahead of you Tyson Pumachan on with us, and what's your evaluation of him?
I'm glad you could pronounce his name, because when I went and saw him, I had asked him. I did it phonetically, and I still would get it wrong on TV.
Yeah.
I was at Avon Old Farms in October and saw him once again, and I think he's, again, quarterback-wise, he can run, he can throw. He's got the arm strength. Competition-wise, with the prep schools up in Connecticut is okay, not great, but it's not as bad as people think. And this is a ball player that's got terrific skills. And, it wasn't just Clemson coming after him. There was a whole lot of schools that were chasing him because they believe that his future is going to be better than his present. He's got that kind of talent.
Well, who did the best job in your mind? Because it seems that recruiting has changed when you look at offensive linemen, especially with tackles. It used to be, get me a big guy that nobody can run over, but now you have to have guys with tremendous athleticism playing that position. So there's a new judgment standard when looking at offensive linemen now?
I think it's still the same. I think, I think, like Nick Saban would say, or a lot of people say, you win with your men up front, either defense or offensive line. And a lot of times you're right, though. The offensive line don't get enough credit, and a lot of times great ratings, even if they're really good ball players. And when you look at the guys that just made the all-pro teams, a good number of those guys weren't highly recruited, or they were recruited, but guys that needed to add weight and strength. So that's the one position where a lot of times the guys come in and they're not ready-made. For the most part, they got to be developed. They have the size and the talent, but they got to be developed and worked with over a couple of years before they actually develop. And I was looking at classes nationally. I got Notre Dame last year won the Joe Moore Award, and they had 2 top 10 picks in their offensive line. But then Harry Houston left for the Chicago Bears. And I was just talking to Harry today because his son was being recruited. And Notre Dame replaced him with a guy named Quinney. He brought in 4 All-Americans at offensive line. So I think a lot of times, most of the time, they're not All-Americans when they get there, but you hope they develop. The McClinchy kid at Notre Dame came out at 6'8", 230, wound up 6'8", 320, and now he's on the all-rookie team in the NFL, and shows you that it takes time, and a lot of times offensive linemen benefit from a 6th year in college. So to me, it's the hardest position to evaluate.
Yeah. People forget about the importance of development, especially on the line. Tom, can we hold you over for just a couple more minutes?
Sure.
You good? Okay, thanks. We'll come back to you. Tom Lemming visiting with us, national recruiting guru, who's been doing this forever, and so it seems, and does a fabulous job. We'll get back to him in just a moment. Got a couple of more key questions for him. We'll ask him about Ryan Helinski and about a few things happening in the days ahead.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
And we're back with Tom Lemming here on Sports Talk. By the way, over at the CLA, Virginia with a 13-8 lead on USC, 11:20 to go in the first half. Back to Tom for just a couple of more minutes. I want to ask you about developing items. Quavaris Crouch looks like he's going to sign here in the next couple of days, but not announced until the Army game. What are your thoughts about where he might wind up, and what do you think of him as a player?
Well, I love him. He's one of my top 5 players nationally. I know he doesn't want to play running back anymore. You know, I select the Butkus Award every year for the top high school linebacker, and I did 51 nominations. But when I saw him, he was a running back in May with the linebacker. And when you look at him, you know he's a great player. He's a great two-way player anyway, and he'll be a great linebacker. He would have been one of the finalists. I gave it to Nakobe Dean from Mississippi, who's one of the premier players in the country. But I would have said Crouch probably could have possibly been right up there with the top 2 or 3 linebackers. He's that talented. When I first saw him in the spring, I got the sense positive that he was leaning to Florida State at that time. Then he started liking Alabama, and now I have absolutely no idea where he's looking. But I always had the kids fill out a questionnaire and ask them where they're leaning to at the time. And a lot of times I'll videotape and put it out on Twitter, and shows you how some guys will switch. But he was a kid that had over 40 offers when I saw him in the spring. He probably had over 60 now. And a lot of times when you get that many offers, you get confused.
Yeah. Clemson, Tennessee, Michigan seem to be the 3, and nobody really has a feel for what he's going to do. He doesn't say a whole lot, and he's done a good job of keeping it quiet. What about Will Putnam tomorrow, the offensive lineman out of Tampa? You got Clemson, you got Florida State, you got Auburn.
Well, I would say, Will's from Chicago. I first interviewed him. He was from the Chicago area, suburb down south there, and then he moved down to Tampa. I'd seen him up here, and I saw him in Tampa. I know Clemson has a good shot at him. But at the time when I saw him in the spring, Florida State was his favorite school, mainly because Jimbo Fisher's guys had been recruiting him, and Willie had to take over and go after him. So at that time, then he became open for everyone. So I would say it could have come down to Clemson or Florida State. Sure, the way he sounds. But again, I've been doing this so many years. When I guess on ball players, I'm almost always wrong, because nowadays their big thing is to keep everything hidden so no one knows what they're doing.
Well, they're doing a heck of a job. And even when you think you know what they're doing, when they're at the announcement podium, they start taking off. We had a kid the other day, Ja'Kai Moore, commit to South Carolina, and he took off his jacket. He had a South Carolina shirt on. You say, okay, he's going to South Carolina. Then he pulled that shirt off. He had a Penn State shirt on. Then you said, all right, he's going to Penn State. Then he pulled that shirt off, and he had a South Carolina shirt on. And that's when he stopped and put the hat on and convinced us all. What do you think of Ryan Helinski? What kind of quarterback is South Carolina getting?
I absolutely love the Helinski family. He had a tragedy with his older brother, and he had another older brother that all of them have been in my magazine. I met them all. One of them started out at Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. They've been bouncing around. Ryan is a terrific talent. He's the best quarterback in California. He plays in the best league in the country, that Trinity League, not only at Orange Lutheran, but they've got Bosco, Mater Dei, 2 national champs over the last 2 years, and they just absolutely load up on the league. And he still has a great senior season in the best league in the country against ball players. Almost all of them are going Division I. That's how talented this kid is. He's got the height. He's got the arm strength, more of a pro-style type quarterback. He's not slow, but he's also not a guy that's going to be tucking and running a lot and improvising. But I think he's got the potential to become a number 1 draft choice in 4 or 5 years if he's developed right. He's got that kind of talent as quarterback.
Whoa. You think he's better than the 2020 kid at Bosco, DJ Uiagalelei, however you pronounce it?
You know, they're completely different. DJ is my number 1 player in the entire country for next year. So I would say maybe he would be number 1. You're right. I have that same problem. I have problems even when I spell him phonetically, and I have a hand in the All-American game.
Yeah. I'm just going to call him DJ.
And I spent a lot of time at Bosco the last couple of years seeing him, and he's built like a defensive end. He's big. I've seen some quarterbacks that are built like that and still do well. This kid can actually run a 4.6 at 250 pounds. So he's a terrifically talented, but they're 2 different kind of guys. Ryan's more of a pro style. He can fit into anything.
Yeah. You think Clemson, it seems like Clemson has a real good in with him right now. He's made a couple of visits. You like their chance to get him? Talking about DJ?
I like Clemson's chance to get almost anybody nowadays. They're right up there with Alabama when it comes to getting their name. And it doesn't matter if they're cross country like he is. They could just get in there. And I noticed their name pops up always in the top 3 if they're recruiting someone around, and no matter where I'm at around the country. They've established themselves right now, like Ohio State and Alabama is one of the 3 premier programs. So if they show a major interest in a ball player, 95% of the time that player's going to show major interest in Clemson.
A quick thought on Zach Pickens. What do you think of him?
I loved him too. I went by his high school a year ago to watch him, and I was amazed at a ball player who's that size, that has that great first step and the explosive moves to the ball. I was really impressed with him. And I know there's another guy at a school that went to IMG Academy the week I was there. They were both outstanding ball players at a school, and you normally don't see. Hannah's a good school, but you normally don't see 2 supers in one program. And Pickens turned out to be the better ball player.
Yeah, the other one ended up at Alabama. Stephon Wynn Jr. or Wynn. I think it was Stephon Wynn Jr. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Tom, it's been a pleasure. Yeah. Hey, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you over the internet or catch you on the tube or wherever you happen to be.
Well, we did 3 hours live today on CBS Sports Network, so we're not going to do anything again until the next signing day. But they could just go at Lemming Report on Twitter, and they could pick up anything because I usually tell everybody where we're going to be at, what shows we're doing, and the ball players that we're interviewing.
That sounds great. Hey, thank you so much. Have a great holiday. We'll talk to you again in January, looking ahead to the February signing date and on down the road. We thank you so much.
You're welcome, Buzz. Merry Christmas to both of you guys, and I enjoyed it. Take care.
Thank you, Tom. Take care.
You, Tom.
Tom Lemming. He travels the country. He's done it for years and years and years. He sees the guys up close, so he has an idea of exactly what he's talking about. Let me give you these other signees from the state to in-state schools. The Citadel signed several in-state players. Linebacker Logan Billings out of Boiling Springs. Defensive lineman Therese Drayton of James Island. I apologize if I butchered the name. Might be Therese out of James Island, defensive lineman. Defensive back Jake Kennison from Hillcrest. Linebacker Jay LeGroup. Was that an N? LeGroon. Jay LeGroon, linebacker from TL Hanna. Just talking about TL Hanna. Linebacker Michael McDowell from Boiling Springs. Defensive back Antarius Presley from Belton Honeypath. Defensive lineman Nick Rogers of Blythewood. Offensive lineman Stephon Stokes of Greenville. Linebacker Hayden Williamson. Oh, he's not from South Carolina. I'm mentioning this because linebacker Hayden Williamson is from Okinawa, Japan. He goes to Kubaski High School in Okinawa, Japan. Obviously a military
What kind of league they play in?
I don't know. Well, I think over there in Japan, and maybe the captain, we have SC Wild tonight. After a wild day, we've got a wild night. Captain Billy Downer can comment on that. I think there is American high schools and American sports there on the bases in Japan. So that is what the Citadel has done. And let's see, who else do I have here? I did Furman, I did Wofford. That's it. Those are the only other schools that are reporting signees today that I have seen. I haven't seen anything from South Carolina State or Newberry or PC or any of those folks. So they might be releasing stuff later on or waiting until February.
You were mentioning Florida State losing a quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. Did you see where DeAndre Francois is telling Florida State he's probably going to go?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, apparently he's graduated. So they said Orlando Sentinel is reporting that he's either going to go to the NFL or to another school, but he won't be playing at Florida State.
How about that? 24-16 Virginia leading USC, 6:37 to go in the first half. The Gamecocks are shooting 37%. They are 0 for 8 behind the line, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, being out-rebounded 15-10. Jerome is leading Virginia. He's got 13 of their 24. Gravitt off the bench has 6 to lead South Carolina. Silva's got a bucket. He's only 1 for 5. He's got 2 rebounds and only 1 foul to this point. All right, we shift gears to the great outdoors. SC Wild up next here on Sports Talk.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Captain Billy Downer with us here in our studio tonight as we look ahead to the holiday season. He's got a special guest as well.
Of course.
You want to introduce your special guest?
Of course. We've got my daughter, straight from the heart of Clemson, South Carolina here.
Mm-hmm. She has a name?
Yes, Cora. All the way from Tiger Town, the beautiful campus of Clemson University, for those that love that university.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me, I'm a Citadel. She's over there pumping. For me, I'm a Citadel grad. You know, I don't really care.
Right.
I'm good.
Well, I tell you what, man. I've seen pictures of Cora in action in the fields.
Oh, yes.
I warn anybody.
Intramural champion.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about with the gun.
Oh,
with
yes.
the rifle.
Yes. I'm not worried about her. She'll be fine.
Good shot.
She'll be fine.
What I'm saying is just, be careful out there, anybody that crosses her. End up with some buckshot where you don't like it. Anyway, it's good to see you.
Good to be here. Our Christmas edition of SC Wild.
Yes, we're going to get to the gifts here in a little bit for the outdoorsmen. But first, hunting season, time to reflect on how it went.
Sure, quick wrap up. So deer season's still open till January 1st. I encourage everyone not to give up. There's a lot of rain, filled up a lot of the bottoms and swamps, so deer are being pushed to the hill. So keep hunting during the Christmas break. You might get lucky. Been some nice bucks taken in the last week alone, so there's still some nice deer out there, so keep going.
Yeah, I was
give up.
down along the coast last week for the All-Star game and driving down, going over the PD, the Watery, the Waccamaw. Gosh,
they're all full.
They're back up high once again.
They are. Yeah, they are. So dove season reopened this past weekend, December the 15th, and it's going to run through January the 15th, so that's open now. Migratory birds, typically everybody's chasing now. They come in and come out. It's hit and miss on that. Waterfowl season reopened on the 8th, and it will run through January the 27th. So, again, swamps are full, pushing ducks around in different areas. You got wood ducks are spread out. A lot of folks still complaining they can't find the wood ducks because they have so much water to find areas to be. So they're not congregated. You're going to have to kind of hunt around a little bit. But some of the numbers from last week from our DNR waterfowl management areas have come in. Top waterfowl area for the week of December 10th through the 15th was the Cape at the Santee Coastal Reserve with an average of 4.9 ducks per man. There's your 0.9 duck. It's almost a full duck, but not quite. Gadwall was the top duck in the bag. Widgeon took second, with shovelers not far behind in third. So the Cape was good for Gadwall and Widgeon. And again, Sandy Beach, newcomer to the countdown, came in second. Sandy Beach is located on Lake Moultrie there, the shores of Lake Moultrie. Took second place spot with an average of 4.3 ducks per man. Wood ducks were the overwhelming top duck in the bag, with green-winged teal at a distant second, followed by a few mallards. Mostly wood ducks at that one. The rest of our areas fall past that. The next, I think, closest was 3.2 ducks a man, and then it fell past that. Some of the more popular areas, Bear Island and all, their numbers have dropped a little bit. But I'm sure as we get through December, some cold weather comes in, those numbers will go back up in those areas as well. That's a quick report for our waterfowl areas for the pre-Christmas report.
So as we go into the holiday and people have more time on their hands, they can get out in the woods and do some stuff. I mean, you think people are going to go more after the deer since, I don't know, are they in positions because of the water situation, the wetness, where they can be more easily reached, or what do you?
Deer season for me, like when the kids are home from college, they want to go hunting. Deer season is very available for us. We got stands available to go hunting. So a lot of folks, families get together and hunt during the Christmas break. So they'll go back to the deer stands they might not have over the last few weeks. But when family comes home, everybody wants to go do stuff together, and deer hunting can be something we can all do together and enjoy time in the woods, as well as duck hunting is a good group sport. Everybody comes together and has a good time, joking and talking about who missed what. So the holidays are a good time for hunting for families because people get together.
We got more rain on the way, apparently.
Yes, more rain coming tomorrow and Friday, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Upwards of 2 inches in the Midlands here. So it's going to be wetter again. Again, keeping the swamps full, though, so good for ducks. Just going to spread things out. but it keeps areas where ducks like to be full of water. So
all right,
there's some opportunity.
Phone number is 800-956-7266. If you want to give us a quick shout here for Captain Billy Downer on SC Wild, you have a question about the great outdoors, something related to the laws, something related to the process, or maybe where you should go hunting over the holidays, where some good places to head out to. The captain might be able to help you with that. But with the holidays here,
let's do our top. We'll start top 10. It's going to take us a while to get through this. So
yes, you have
might as well start
the
it
most
off.
popular gifts for the hunter person. You got to be politically correct.
I didn't say person. You just say hunter in your home.
Hunter person. I think hunter is generally taken as a male.
Well, that would be your mistake.
So I'm protesting that use of the word, and we're going to go with hunter person.
If you said hunter, that would include my daughter.
We could say hunter or hunter. We could do hunterette.
We don't have to. We don't have to et everything. Hunter works for everybody.
Let's go with number 10. Let's work our way from the bottom up.
You want to go number 10 up? Okay,
yeah,
we'll go with number 10
let's
up.
let the drama build here as we build towards the top.
But they're not necessarily in any one order, but we'll go from your order. Number 10 was the Pete.
This is your order.
Well, it is my order.
Yeah.
The Pete boot dryer. Every hunter needs a boot dryer for a wet pair of boots. There's nothing worse than putting on a pair of boots once they've been wet and your socks get soaked and it's cold outside and your feet get wet.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than that. So
and you can use that for other things too.
You can buy dry shoes. You can dry waders. The boot dryer has extensions to put waders on. So if you ever tip those waders and get them wet, nothing worse than that. Takes forever to get them dry. The Pete boot dryer will dry them out overnight. It's amazing. And all it is just heat in the bottom, and the heat rises through those.
You stick it in the boot.
You take the boots and take them over the pipes, basically.
Okay.
Plastic pipes to go down to a heat source at the bottom. And of course, as we know, heat rises. So it's an electric, you plug it in and heats up a little element at the bottom, and the heat rises through your boots, waders, what have you. And that natural heat rising actually dries them out. And it will dry them out overnight. It's amazing. They can be soaking wet.
This is not a
dry.
quick process.
No, it's an overnight process.
But better than a hairdryer.
A lot better than a hairdryer. It doesn't stink near as bad as a hairdryer, and you blow the hairdryer in there.
Do you own a hairdryer?
I don't have enough hair.
I was going to say.
Nice try, Phil.
I was just asking the question if you owned a hairdryer.
Yes. But, people won't buy this kind of stuff for themselves. Yeah. So some of these gift ideas are things we won't buy for ourselves, but you love to get as a gift item.
What's the price typically of a Pete boot dryer?
Probably in the $60, $70 range at the most.
All right.
You might get them as cheap as $50 if you shop around Amazon or other websites, outlets. Yes. Correct.
All right, number 9.
Number 9. This is a favorite. Good knife. A hunter can never have enough knives. It doesn't matter what brand. We can all argue about what the different brands. You can get real expensive knives for $150. You can get knives for $10 or $15. A good knife is something that you can't live without. Great skinning knife's good. Whether it's a pair, it doesn't matter. Kitchen knives, whatever, for your steaks, whatever. A man, we'll go for a man for a minute, loves a good knife.
Yeah. I was going to say a good knife's like trying to find a good woman. They're hard to find.
Well, but when you have one, you can't do without them.
That's right.
So never can have enough good knife. Every hunter needs a good knife. Again, buck, it doesn't matter.
Give me some names. Yeah, give some names.
Gerber knives, buck knives, outdoor edge. I have a lot of outdoor edge knives. They've come on the market strong. They've got knives at a really good price point. You can find those at any hardware store and hunting store. So they're out there. A good skinning knife or fillet knife. They make some really great fillet knives for fishing. You can find in your different stores, Sportsman Warehouse, different stores, Dick's, a lot of different, any of those places you can find those good knives. But if you find a really good knife, buy. If it's a fillet knife, it's a skinning knife. It may be a knife with a gut hook, what they call a gut hook, which is used for big game. Any of those specialty type knives are great because, again, I might not buy that for myself. If you give it to me, I'm probably going to use it.
Okay.
So knives are a cheap entry gift item.
We got about 30 seconds. Do you want to hit the boots or hold on?
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
Number 8, good pair of hunting boots. I particularly like muck boots. I would have never bought really nice muck boots that cost $190. I never bought this for myself. My wife bought them for me for Christmas. The kids and all gave them to me about 4 years ago, and I have worn those boots out. Never had a better pair of boots.
All right, describe muck boots.
Muck boots. They're waterproof. They're warm. You can pull them on. They slip on. You can roll them down. Everybody knows what a muck boot is, except for you apparently. But the muck boot is a great gift item. They come in camouflage, brown,
Hang on. Got to hit a break. Be right back. More SC Wild.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
USC's hunting for a win over at the CLA. Quick update from Will Pelagic, then back to the captain's best gifts for the outdoorsman for Christmas. Will, Gamecocks hung in there for a good while, but a man named Jerome is taking it to him.
Yeah, you know, when Bill Raftery once said, send it in, Jerome, well, he was talking about Jerome Lane, but Ty Jerome is certainly sending it in for Virginia right now. The Cavaliers lead 33-26 after 20 minutes of play here at CLA. Not a team shooting the ball very well, Cohen. 38% from the field is Virginia compared to 35% for the Gamecocks. Jerome, as you mentioned, leads with 16 for all scorers. Sonny Gravett leads South Carolina with 8 points. They have a lot of players in foul trouble right now for South Carolina, including Gravett, Bryant, and Silva, who all have 2 fouls. And Silva played with 2 fouls for basically the latter part of the half, and both Bryant and Gravett also had stints on the floor where they played with 2 fouls in the opening half. It's going to be a hard road to hoe for South Carolina, but they're playing tough. They got it to within 1 on a Alonzo Frank 3-pointer. So they've had some good moments, but we'll see if they can make things happen here in the second half and keep it close.
All right, my man, thank you very much. See you over there in just a little bit. Halftime, Virginia is leading the Gamecocks 33-26. Back to the captain's top 10 countdown, best gifts for the outdoors person.
So we went over number 10, boot dryer. Number 9, the good hunting knife. Number 8, the good pair of hunting boots. Number 7, a camouflage coat.
Number 7.
Can't go wrong with a good camouflage coat. Of course, Drake is a top seller, but you can go with a lot of different name brands out there. Carhartt and Walls are all good gift items, particularly when it gets cooler. Having a nice warm coat, or in South Carolina, a mid-range coat for the cool weather, not real cold weather, is probably your best bet. We don't have really cold weather. Number 6, a good flashlight, always a must. There are plenty of great LED flashlights out there that range in price from $10 to $100. So a great LED flashlight is a good buy. You can go to Tractor Supply. You can find them for as little as $10. Other stores, hardware stores as well. Of course, everybody loves a rechargeable stream light. You can buy those, the Ultra Stinger at $99 to a full-size stream light for around $160 that you can place in your vehicle that keeps them charged all the time.
How strong is the stream light for $160?
It will shine about 200 or 300 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll light the trees up 200 yards away.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Number 5. Tree stand safety harness. Can't go without saying that. It's Hunter Safety Hour. For $50, you can purchase a better. You can't purchase a better gift to keep your deer hunter safe, and most likely they won't buy it from themselves. Bass Pro has the Muddy Magnum Pro on sale. You can combine that with a safety line system, and with it for about $40, and you have a great gift idea to keep your hunter safe when they go into the woods.
Let's get that for Steve Tannehill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number 4, game camera. Every good deer hunter needs a good game camera. Nobody deer hunts anymore without watching on the camera. They like to check the cameras out. They've got lots of brands out there from the $50 range to $100 to $300 for those that will actually send the photos straight to your cell phone. Yes, we're in the modern age, and the deer hunter out there.
Wait a minute, now this is taken away from the real deal of hunting now,
I
right?
don't disagree with you. Nothing like
why don't we just have
camera,
a satellite shot of the entire,
we're close to getting there.
Yeah.
But a game camera is a great gift item for your outdoorsman. So different ones out there. The Browning Command Ops 8-megapixel camera out there for about $70. You can get some of them up there to about really great Browning cameras for $100. There's a lot of other ones. Muddy Bay has some out there. And then you've got, of course, Moultrie has a really low-priced, good quality camera for around $50 to $60. You can find it in any hardware store, Cabela's, Bass Pro, what have you. Number 3. The rangefinder. Great option for hunters who like to sit in large fields. Again, deer hunting there. People are getting into shooting long distances. They want to have a good rifle and a good scope. Hard to get there. That's kind of a real particular item. People kind of know what they want to get. But a rangefinder they'll often forget about. And you need the rangefinder to know how far that deer is or your target is. Even if you're out there target shooting, use the rangefinder to determine your distance so you can dial in that scope for a clean shot.
Could you use it in golf?
Probably so.
Yeah.
But a laser rangefinder, they're out there for about $100 to $150. Depends. You can get really nice ones way up there, but you can get a really good rangefinder for less than $150. So that's one item there to put on your list.
I like the name of this one, the Bushnell Bone Collector Edition.
Yes, the Bushnell Bone Collector. That's in Mossy Oaks game. That's in their wheelhouse. But the Bone Collector Edition, 4 times rangefinder, sells about $140. A good buy for the money.
Okay.
Number 2. Binoculars. Always a must. We always preach with folks that go hunting, particularly if you go deer hunting, take a pair of binoculars with you. Don't use your scope to identify game. Take a good pair of binoculars so that you can identify the game animal before you take a shot. Make sure you identify your game before you take that shot. Good binoculars are a great item. You can get a really good set for around $150, $200. Nikon makes some low-end ones for around $150, $200.
I use Nikon for ball games.
they're good for ball games.
Yeah.
So there's a double duty. You can go to a basketball game, get in the nosebleed section, feel like you're right there. Football.
I mean, the Nikons
if you're into soccer, all those items, all those sports events were great for binoculars.
Yeah, the Nikons I have are. I'm trying to remember what the magnifying power was.
10 by 40 is a great mid range.
No, mine's stronger than that.
10 by 50
because you sit way up in press boxes.
10 by 50.
Yeah, I think I had the strongest available.
That's probably it.
Really like it.
But the Nikon Pro Staff
helps you bring the cheerleaders
7S,
into focus too.
Well, the Nikon Pro Staff 7S for $166.95 is a great buy.
I bet.
Find that almost anywhere on the internet and in stores near you. Number one remains number one for me this year, as it did last year. The Work Sharp electric knife and tool sharpener. Every hunter likes a knife. We hate to keep our knives sharp. We don't know how to do it. We try the little stones. It never works out. The Work Sharp is a great item. Any hunter will love. You won't go buy it, but somebody gets it for you. You'll love them for it. It's got a little sanding little item. It's a little it's power. You know, everybody likes, like Tim Allen. Oh, you like that power. Pull that trigger, that thing goes off. Sharpen that knife up. It's really easy. You can find them for around $50 to $60 anywhere. They make a Ken Onion edition for really special knives. They're about $75, but the regular Work Sharp for about $60. You can find that in your Ace Hardware stores. Again, Cabela's, Bass Pro, all the stores out there. Sportsman's Warehouse has them as well. Great gift item, the Work Sharp electric knife. Now, if you've got the finicky guy that you want to buy something for, it's a little more pricey, trying to get out of the under $200 range. There's some great. We're going to start with number one, the Traeger grill. A great grill item, somewhere around $500 for the low-end model. I think the Traeger 20, but the 700 is probably a little bit bigger. Great gift item, and it does not come any better off the grill than off a Traeger. That's the little wood chips you put in there in the side. It's got an area that holds these little wood chips. You can get different flavors, pecan, apple, hickory. And these little chips, the little motor pulls them in, and it burns it in a little cup no bigger than a tuna can, literally.
You got one of these?
I don't yet. But it's one of those items one day I'll get.
Is that something that you're like hinting to the family that
probably not in the cards for me this year?
You walk around going Traeger.
But the Traeger is awesome.
Yeah.
It's you can smoke with it, or you can pick it up and do and you can set it. They've got iPhone apps for it. And it's awesome for cooking meat. Not only game meat, but also steaks, chicken. Great. And they've got some great recipes and great marinades to go with the Traeger. But Traeger's a good one.
Okay.
Yeti cooler's still a favorite.
Yeah, it can't be.
I mean, you can't beat a Yeti. They're expensive. Nobody's going to buy one, every day. But it's out there. And the GoPro camera at number 3, around $400, $450 for a GoPro. Every hunter likes to tell stories. They like to share those stories. What better way to remember your hunt than to video it?
Yep.
They make attachments for firearms, for hats, for your body, all kind of fun things. So those are top 3 of the gifts that get pricey: the Traeger, the Yeti, and the GoPro camera.
I think that your family should get you one of each. Huh, Cora?
That's a great idea.
I think, the daughter should get one.
Wishes could come true.
The wife could get one, and you have a son, don't you?
Yes.
He can get you one. And everybody be happy. Yeah. We thank you, sir.
If money grew on trees. Remember when Dad used to say that?
Yes.
And it doesn't. But
absolutely. Anyway. Hey, we hope you have a great holiday with your family.
Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to everyone. Be safe out there. Enjoy the great outdoors.
You got that right. And we'll see you in 2019. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. USC down 33-26 at the half. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.